about it, certainly. So good evening, everyone. Today we are going to look at a very seminal topic in your university studies, which is called academic integrity. Integrity means that you are dealing with something in ethical way, in a way that certain norms are set. You simply follow the norms and become part of the normative traditions in the academic community. So that is academic integrity. And you can see the subtopic, or rather the following the colon, you see ethical sourcing and attribution. Ethical sourcing is quite simply, when you refer to someone else's knowledge or expressions which are published somewhere else, when you use someone else's citing, references, and of course knowledge, which is published, you have a very carefully established way of recording it, giving the due credit to the writers who have written on it earlier than you. And then the second half is attribution. Attribution means quite simply how well and how effectively, and of course, how ethically can we get someone else's writing, someone else's knowledge in other text into our own write-up, right? So we'll be looking at these two aspects relevant to academic integrity: ethical sourcing and attribution of knowledge and simply the text from original sources to your writing. Is it clear, Sahanya, what we are studying today? Just give me a response so that I know we can move ahead. Perfect. Sahanya, can you read silently the abstract? Now you must be wondering why I happen to put an abstract here. Now the very reason I put an abstract here is, Buddha, now in any academic article that you refer and that you download from Google Scholar or any other referencing sources, they usually come with something called abstract. Abstract is basically about a very academic gist, or rather summary of the entire paper. So you have a bigger paper written in detail, in length, and what happens in an abstract is what is given in the bigger text is very succinctly, very simply, and very short, brief note. It is indicated at the beginning. You know why? The very reason of having an abstract is this. Now, when you are searching on a particular topic from many sources, like Google Scholar, Scopus, or any other journals, you will be getting not single paper written on your particular area, but you'll be getting many papers. Papers in the sense articles. When you get many articles, if you are to waste your time on reading the entire paper and understand and see whether they are relevant to your study, it's a waste of time. So it's a way of simply respecting the academic article readers to give them in a couple of or less than 200 words. It gives a whole summary covering all significant aspects of the research paper as an abstract, right? So when you get many articles, you don't need to read the whole article first. You can read through the abstract and see whether that particular article is relevant to you, whether it's part of the knowledge that you're seeking, right? If not, you can simply drop that paper and go to the next abstract and see whether the next article is relevant to you, right? So now you got to know the very purpose of having an abstract. Can you put in simple terms, in your own words, what is an abstract and why is an abstract important in academic writing? I wish my question is clear. If my question is clear, kindly answer it on chat, or else you can speak out and tell me. What is the purpose of having an abstract? And what comes in an abstract? So that is my simple question. You can answer in one sentence, I'm sure. Sahanya, it's over to you. Why do we need to have an abstract in an article? What comes there in an abstract? I wish you were trying typing out. Yes, thank you. Yes, a summary of the content. Okay, that is an abstract. Why is it important, Pudha? When you write summary, make sure that you spell it correctly. It is Summary, right? Okay, okay. And can you tell me why there is a summary? How can it help us as readers? How can it help us? Okay, let me answer the question while you're typing it out. I know that you're doing it. It quite simply saves time of the readers, so that it's a way of respecting the reader's right of time, because a reader of any scientific article hasn't got much time to spend reading an entire article to see whether it's relevant or not, right? Okay, thank you, Sahanya. We'll go ahead and I want you to read the abstract, and after reading the abstract, tell me what might come in this particular article. I wish you'll be reading it uh, on your own. Perfect, Sahana. So you have written it correctly. So read with me. In the pursuit of academic excellence, maintaining integrity in scholarly endeavors is paramount. This paper examines the concepts of plagiarism, academic integrity, and ethical sourcing of information within the context of engineering education. By exploring strategies such as summarizing, coding, paraphrasing, and proper citation techniques, this study aims to equip academic engineering undergraduate students with the necessary skills to navigate the complex landscape of academic writing while upholding ethical standards. So you see, it's going to reveal what this article is all about. So if you read that, you come to know what this article talks about, what information comes there, right? So that's a way of, referring to scientific journals and articles, read the abstract, see whether it brings necessary information that you're seeking. Okay, I think that's all enough in our uh, discussion on abstract. Now, can you remember last day we were talking about the IMRAD structure? Can you remember, Buddha? And in IMRAD structure, which is the very popular way of writing an academic article, I talked about a front matter. Can you remember? Front matter is basically about abstract, and then the names of the researchers and where they are coming from. So in the front matter, before IMRAD structure, you will see the front matter at the very beginning. In the front matter, you will see the journal research paper's title, research title, and then below that, who wrote it, and below that, where those writers are coming from which university, from which lab, from which particular organization, those are indicated there. And then comes abstracts, right? Abstract tells in a summary what it is. So all those things actually belong to the front matter. Is it clear, Sahanya? And can you relate it to IMRAD structure? Where this comes and all? I wish yes. Okay, let's move to the next half. So how it begins? Introduction. So as I indicated in IMRAD structure, it begins with I, introduction, right? So you will see how nicely, how directly, and how straightforwardly an academic writer introduces the topic in the introduction. Read with me, Buddha, quickly. In today's interconnected world, access to vast amounts of information has made it easier for individuals to engage with scholarly discourse. However, this ease of access also brings forth challenges related to the ethical use of sources. For students embarking on the academic journey in engineering, understanding the importance of academic integrity and ethical sourcing of information is fundamental to their growth as scholars and professionals. You see, the introduction simply and very straightforwardly tell what the article is going to be. So it simply locates in the bigger picture of the reader's mind where and which on which particular discipline or which particular area this article is written. You see, with a simple hook, interconnected world, vast information, and scholarly discourse, what challenges are there, right? And then it tells embarking on the academic journey in engineering, understanding the importance of academic integrity and ethical sourcing of information is fundamental. I think this particular thing is very, very significant, which we highlighted here. You know why? That actually sets the thesis of the whole article. Thesis in the sense, if you could remember in academic essay structure, I told you that in an introduction, we simply give what? The whole idea given in the text in a single statement telling what and what are we going to do. So I told about, it's going to be the sort of roadmap to what comes next. Are you getting me, Sahanya? So in this introduction, this is the thesis statement. Thesis statement in the sense where the main idea, where the roadmap to the article is written. Did you get it, Magipute? So that gives signals to what comes in this article. Thank you. Importance of academic critique, ethical sourcing. Okay, okay. Now comes the latter topics. Sahanya, have you read something called plagiarism? Plagiarism. What is it? In your own understanding, what is plagiarism? What is plagiarism? In a single term, if you happen to, paraphrase it, what is plagiarism? Yes, using someone else's ideas as your own. Perfect. You have perfectly told. Okay, so that I'm not going to read about plagiarism because right? So this in academic integrity, plagiarism is regarded as a threat to academic integrity. You know why? When you use someone else's knowledge in your article as your own, what happens to your writing is the same. What happens then? When you write and publish, someone else might steal your knowledge as their own and they simply write it without citing you. So in academic writing industry, in knowledge industry, when somebody finds something and when he publishes it, we have an ethical obligation, we have an obligation to indicate that their publication is where from I learned this and I'm reciting them, giving them the credit. I wish you got the idea. Can I have a thumbs up if you have got a perfect idea why plagiarism is going to be a good practice in academic writing? Just give a thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Ethical sourcing strategies. Now, this is really, really important. Read with me. Read with me. To combat the pitfalls of plagiarism and uphold academic integrity, students must employ ethical sourcing strategies when integrating external information into their writing. Now, what are external information? Quite simply, the information that you are going to take from the others. So when you take external information, others' information into your writing, sourcing strategies are really, really important. You know why? With ethical sourcing strategies, you can take others' ideas, you can use them in your writing, but it is an accepted normative way of doing it. So we'll see what these strategies are. So they highlight the strategies. Summarizing, quoting, and paraphrasing are key techniques that enable students to engage with existing scholarship while acknowledging the contributions of others. Now, by doing summarizing, by quoting, and by paraphrasing, using these three strategies, you can nicely integrate external information in your writing. So we'll see one and the other. Look at what is summarizing. I'm reading. Summarizing involves distilling the main ideas of a source in one's own words, providing a concise overview of the original text. You see, distilling, you know what is distilling, right? Distilleries industry, right? You know, the extraction of alcohol from its mixture, right? Distilling means taking the essence, okay? Taking the essence or main ideas in your own words. Now you see, Charles Darwin happens to write in his own words. And when you take the summary of Charles Darwin, you actually take the essence, gist of main ideas of that text. And at the same time, you use as much as possible your own words, right? Okay. That is summarizing. Then what is quoting? I'm reading. We learned them, but I'm polishing up your knowledge. When quoting directly from source, students must enclose the quoted text in quotation marks and provide a citation to attribute the words to the original author. Now, quoting Kielakyan, as you know, you get the writer's words as it is. You copy and paste this here, which we call the verbatim copying, right? So from word to word, punctuation to punctuation, you take the whole stuff to your text. That is also an ethical way, but to make it ethical, you have to put within quotation marks, quotation marks, what you have taken. And then next to the quotation marks, within bracket, you have to give who the writer that has been, that particular thing has written, and then the year of application which it is written. So that is how we can go on coding. And let's go to the third strategy, paraphrasing. You see, paraphrasing entails rephrasing the ideas of a source in a manner that reflects one's understanding without simply substituting words with synonyms. Now remember, paraphrasing means there is original writer's idea, you understand it, and in your own words, you write the same idea. So distinguish between summarizing and paraphrasing. In summarizing also, we get author's idea in your own words. That's true. But in summarizing, what we get is simply the essence of the main ideas. That is summarizing. But in paraphrasing, you usually take the whole idea in your own words at this whole length. Did you get the point? So usually summarizing is taken as a strategy when you want to get a big idea in smaller gist and essence statements. But when you want to really tell some particular idea told by the writer in your own words, understanding it, you put it in your own words and put it at the same length without abstracting or without shipping it or without simply taking the main idea. You simply take the whole idea and put it in your own words. That's paraphrasing. Are you clear, Sahanya, what these things are? Can I hear the three strategies which can be used in ethical academic writing? Can you remember those three? Name them. Give me a response. I was talking about three strategies. Yeah. Coding, yes. What are the other two? Summarizing, yes. What is the last one? Paraphrasing. Now, Buddha, summarizing, I told you, is all about taking the gist, but when paraphrasing actually involves, paraphrasing is usually done with quotes that you really feel like it's better to put a particular quotation in your own words as a paraphrase. So it's not, paraphrasing does not involve any attempt of summarizing, but it's about giving your words as giving writer's word idea in your own words. Okay, okay. Let's read the last half. Read with me. Citations, guiding readers and acknowledging scholars. Okay, I'm reading. In academic writing, citations serve a dual purpose. It serves two purposes. Dual purpose. What are the dual purposes? They give readers to the sources of information referenced in the text and acknowledge the contribution of scholars whose work informs the discussion. Now, you see, these are the two purposes. They actually, when you give references, they guide readers to the information reference. Now, when you give from which book of which author that you take this information, if the reader is really, really interested in knowing it further, they can refer to that source and learn it further. That's number one. The second purpose is you actually give credit acknowledging it's not only your idea, but these scholars have written about the same subject in these years, and this is what they say. You simply acknowledge how on the very thing that you are doing as a researcher, you are writing, how others have contributed to the same idea. Did you get the point? And the citation has two levels. The first level is in-text citations. The other thing is end-text citation, right? Reference list or bibliography at the end. So there are two levels of referencing. First thing is in-text citation. In-text citation is quite simply put, when you quote, when you summarize, or when you paraphrase someone else's knowledge, just next to the finishing or full stop of your summarized content, quoted content, or some paraphrased content, you indicate within brackets which writers, which work in a simpler term. So here we use simply the writer's surname, last name, typically. If it is written by Chamara Silva, right? So we simply quote as Silva, and then with a comma, we indicate in which year, in his 2023 publication. So within brackets, next to the summary or quotation or paraphrase, you put the in-text citation, right? And then when you are done with the whole text, when you are done with the whole academic writing, at the end, you have to introduce something called reference list or bibliography. In that reference list, we actually give all the details of the things that you cited in text. So it is Silva 2023, but in reference list, you say Silva with first name Chamara Silva, then year of publication, then the name of the book or article or chapter, and then if it is an article, in which journal it comes, and in which volume of the journal, and in which pages, and if there is any direct link, which we call DOI, or rather direct link that you can connect to the article, that will also be given in the end reference list. Are you clear, Buddha, how this whole process is done? So we have discussed a couple of things. what is academic integrity, what is plagiarism, and what are the strategies that we can avoid the threat of plagiarism, or rather crime of plagiarism. And they were summarizing, paraphrasing, and coding. And then we come how they could be sourced. That sourcing happens in two ways. First thing is in-text citation, and the second thing is the reference list of bibliography. Is the whole idea clear? I'm waiting for your response, Pute. Hello, Sanya. Thank you. So, see how in an academic writing a conclusion is written. This is actually put to teach you how a conclusion could be written. Read with me. As future engineers, students must recognize the internal role of academic integrity in their scholarly pursuits. Upholding ethical standards in sourcing and contributing information not only demonstrates respect for intellectual property of others, but also fosters a culture of integrity and excellence within the engineering community. By mastering the art of summarizing, coding, paraphrasing, and citing sources, students equip themselves with the essential skills to contribute meaningfully to the scholarly discourse in the field. You see, a conclusion is basically what you have argued throughout this article, throughout this essay, throughout this assignment. So that is how you put the whole idea, like you did in the abstract. In the conclusion, we actually brought the whole discussion into a conclusion. And then there comes something called keywords. Keywords should usually come not here. It should come just after the abstract. So they include the front matter of the journal article. Before IMRAD, there comes front matter, the title of the article, who wrote it, abstract, and then the keywords. Is it clear, my dear Sahanya? Well, perfect. Perfect. Now, Sahana, hereinafter, when you're referring to an academic article, you know what you have to do first. What is the first step? Now, remember, if I am giving you a chance to search through your Google Scholar account about academic writing, and you are going to search the keywords academic writing, and you'll get results from various sources, articles written by various people, and then you will see which articles have more appealing. You know how to do it. Under each article in Google Scholar search, there gives a cited by number. So when just below the article, they have statistics called cited by 79, cited by 1000, and so on. So if there is any article highly cited, the cited number of citation is very high, it's always great that you read that article, because it's a kind of trend of knowledge in that particular field in the academic world. So that's how you get the journal article selected. And once you get such an article, what is the first step that you do to determine whether the article you download is relevant or not? What is the first step you take to decide whether you should read this article further? Tell me, what is your first strategy? What will you do when you get an article from a journal? What will you read? Will you go and read conclusion chapter? Or will you go and read introduction, methodology, or anything? Or what will you do? Sahana, how you determine it? A simple question for which you early answered quite quickly. Is it introduction that you're going to read, Buddha? Are you sure it is introduction that you're going to read? Think it clear. There is something before introduction. What is it? In the front matter, there is something before introduction, which gives the gist. Yes, that is abstract. Read the abstract and see whether this article is relevant to you, whether it gives the information you are looking for. If not, you can simply drop that article and go to search the next article. Great, great. Now we are going to try a strategy, Putha. Right? Okay, okay. Now we are trying to give you a demonstration on how each of the three acts of or strategies of ethical sourcing could be applied, right? Okay, carefully read the provided sentences and analyze how the writers apply the principles of coding, summarizing, and paraphrasing. Okay, observe how to ensure that the revised sentences maintain the original meaning while adhering to the guidelines for each technique. Make note of how to provide citations for quoted material where necessary in-text citation is one requirement. Okay. Now, imagine that this part is the original material, right? So this is coming from the original material. It is the original text you wrote, read, right? It is written by Brown and it's written in the year 2024 and it appears in page 7. You see, it's a quotation. This is a quotation. Therefore, I have quoted it. So it is from this quotation that you're going to take a quotation, summarizing, and paraphrasing. Carefully study it because this will tell you how, in each case, you act. And when you study this, once you study this, how to do a quotation, and how to do a summarizing and how to do a paraphrasing, I will ask a question at the end of the day, right? At the end of this time, I'll be asking, now it's 8, 9, and I'm giving you time till 8:15 to study simple but very, very important strategies that the writers used here in quotations, in summarizing and in paraphrasing to cite, to give in-text citations, to how to get the quotation, how to summarize and all that. Just study, and I'll ask the question at 8:15. Sahanya, I am back. Can you unmute your mic and tell me what lessons you have learned about? Now, this highlighted area is actually, imagine that it is appeared in Brown's book, page number 7. You read through the page number 7 and you came across this thing. Now, I have quoted it here as a full quotation and cited it properly. Hari පුතේ, දැන් මට කියන්න, what things that you learned about quotation, summarizing and paraphrasing? පුතට පුළුවන් නේද චුට්ටක් කතා කරන්න? It's good, Sahanya, if we, raise your voice because there is no one else, you and me alone. You have nothing to worry. Just, unmute your mic and speak a little. Once you are in the university, you have to do it, right? Whether you like it or not, you have to do presentations. Get this as an opportunity to, overcome your stage fear and all that. Just unmute your mic and talk. Sahanya, please unmute your mic and tell me. You don't need to tell any particular thing. Just unmute your mic. I'll ask some questions and respond to those questions. Sahanya, please unmute. Okay, great. Have you got to tell anything or shall I ask questions? How do you like? Yes, Pudha? Shall I ask questions or? Okay, let's ask questions so that you'll be answering. Now, when you come to quotations, you see, now this whole highlighted thing is also a quotation. So it is put within quotation marks. Can you see? Okay. Now, when you take something from someone else's, right? You see, when you copy it and apply that knowledge or rather some words from that particular text from Brown's to your writing, you see, even when you take phrases like traversing between, right? Traveling between, right? Traveling between. Yes. Mechanical. Wings, a tail, and 4 engines. Where we got it? Wings, a tail, and 4 wings. Four engines. You see? Now, we actually take something from Brown's, and that something that we took from Brown's words are given within quotation marks. That's one way of doing quotation. And if you take the full quotation, it is done as given in the highlighted phrase. Okay. Now, Sahanya, my question is, now when you paraphrase Brown's ideas, can you avoid in-text citation? Prabhuta, can you forget giving citations in text? No. You see that the most important thing is when you cite a quotation, you have to give really the in-text citation properly. And if you summarize, still you have to give. And if you simply paraphrase, still you have to give the in-text citation. So in each case, you have to give the in-text citation. Okay. Now this is the bibliography or end reference list nature. Now I'm highlighting here APA format. APA format means American Psychological Association's format. That is typically most of the art students' way of citing. But your way is different. I'll give it later. But learn this first, and you see then art students, when they cite articles, they have a different style. Engineering students, when they cite articles, they have a different style, but they all have something similar as well. Now, look at this end reference list. In this, Brown is indicated as Brown A, right? That is the name of the author. So author's name comes first. I'll be highlighting the relevant information. And then author's last name is this, and then initials. Initials means what the other names indicated by initials. I'm highlighting. Okay. Then 2024 indicates year of publication. Now this is a book. When it is a book, then you have to give the name of the book, right? Engineering and Modern Society. And then you have to give the name of the publisher. So you see, when you see an end reference list, it is easy for any reader to understand which book, by which writer, of which publication. Did you get? So that everything is clear. Now you see, in academic writing, you cannot simply, wake up as you were sleeping and just write down things as if they all, come into your mind. You can't write down. So you have to take from which book you took it, from which page, which year, and if you're coding it, still give in text. If you are summarizing or paraphrasing, still you have to give quotations. Okay, that is clear. Now, what you see is IEEE citation standard. Now, in IEEE citation standard is typically how engineers does it, right? In engineering discourses, IEEE comes and it is the style that you should learn. Now, you see that unlike in APS style, you don't give much detail in IEEE citation. You give just one thing. What's it? Within a square bracket, you give just a number. If it is first book that you are referring, number 1. You see? And this is how it is highlighted in the end reference list. What is it? You tell what you referred as number 1 is A. Brown, Engineering and Modern Society, ABC Publishers, 2023. Now you see, it is the same information, but there are 2 different styles. Are you clear about the 2 ways that it is done? Now, Sahanya, we have 2 members, Sahanya and Navidu. Great, Navidu and Sahanya. Yes. Navidu, actually, I decided to do what we were trying to do last week. We are now in the activity. Well, here we go. Then we are going to synthesize a write-up on academic integrity in engineering. Now, we have learned a little bit about academic integrity in engineering, right? And